2 to 6 years, we call this a golden or a permanent memory age. Whatever we learn at that age, we'll never forget. Parents are teachers at home, teachers are parent at school. Both co-create. Today, if you ask me, there is no difference between Cosmo, Metro, or A city, B city. A parent is a parent, child is a child.
So when you're, shaping children at such a young age, it's almost like you're shaping the future.
What is needed and what is actually not needed, what is luxury. If we can differentiate that and show, they'll go a long way.
Is the current scenario such that there is too much pressure on academics?
We think only marks are the reflection. There are a lot of other things too. And even I never studied in preschool. In our times, there was no such concept only. There's no joint family of everyone staying together to learn and care.
Do you think there will be the development or the thinking capacity or the creativity of children decrease a little bit because there's too much of AI?
AI is a fantastic tool for some advanced things. But if it replaces some basic thinking, it is dangerous. It kills creativity and innovation.
Hello, viewers. Welcome to another episode of the Guwahati Connection podcast. Today, we have somebody very interesting with us who is probably responsible for the future of many children. Let me welcome you, Mr. Anand, the CEO of the Proelium Group, which is the master franchisee of the Little Millennium preschool brand. Welcome, Mr. Anand.
Hi, Kaushik. Thank you so much for hosting me today.
Okay, so let's start off with, since this is called the Guwahati Connection, and I guess this is your first time in Guwahati.
Yes.
So how has been your experience so far? How has the city treated you? I know it's not too long. I mean, you only arrived here last evening, but how has it been so far?
Well, I think in the very first few seconds, the clean hair and the friendly faces made me very comfortable. It feels home and very nice weather and nice people around. So I'm very happy and excited for a few days in Guwahati.
Okay, so since we are talking about, early child education, preschool, so could you tell me a little bit about how the journey has been? I mean, how did you, come into this entire industry and how has been your experience? And what's the probably, some lessons that you have learned while you're doing this? Yeah.
I think my journey is little different in terms of first few years of my career. I was exploring many industries, but I didn't find a purpose because the conviction is, you have to be convinced about what you do. That I got it when I entered life insurance industry because I thought there is something that you can do back to the society by educating people where they ignore the most. So for good 10 years, I was in that industry. Then I was thinking, is there any better industry than life insurance, which can make a difference to society? And when the call came from a preschool industry, I was very happy because whatever you think, whatever you do, can actually make a difference in the society. Then the conviction is 100. I was 100% convinced. And when I stepped in, it was all great. It's going to be 15 years in preschool industry now. So out of my 25 years, I think now that 15 years in preschool. So I can now look back and say, I made a right choice of entering this industry.
And, being in preschool, being in the preschool industry, does it make you a little, a little nervous sometimes, a little, the sense of, stress because you are probably shaping a lot of futures, how does it make you feel exactly?
It is, yeah, as you rightly said, it is a super sensitive industry. I mean, anything you do, or one wrong move can impact the thousands of children in our brand. So but one approach we take is called what is right for the child. Anything we say, anything we do, anything we think, we keep that filter on top of it. What is right for the child? If one of us in the board if we feel it is not right for the child, we'll drop the idea, however great the idea is. I think that thumb rule helps us a lot. Yes, it is sensitive. It is many times we are nervous before rolling out something. What is going to be the impact of it? Because we're dealing with a very, very right age group, very sensitive age group.
Could you tell us a little bit about the journey of the brand Little Millennium? Just, when did it start and where is it right now? What is probably the future, plans? I understand, I mean, you have ventured into Northeast in a big way. I think, in Guwahati itself, you probably have around 10 centers up and coming. Some are already functioning, a few of them are probably up and coming. And you are also into the other states of Northeast. So how did the journey of Little Millennium start, and how much of a focus market is Northeast for this?
To give a brief about the brand, the journey is almost 16 years. 16 years of journey. We strongly believe we can make a difference in the early childhood space. And all the 16 years, we had a wonderful journey. Our strategy was to start with a metro or Cosmo city, see the results because their acceptance is much higher. But this all 16-year-old story. Now today, if you ask me, there is no difference between Cosmo, Metro, or A city, B city. A parent is a parent, child is a child, and any parent from any city want to give the best to the child. So maybe our strategy earlier was to go with cities first, but now we are looking at especially Northeast in a big way because the response is amazing. Especially in, as you mentioned, in Guwahati itself, we have 10 centers. Our future expansion plans is more than 50 in Assam. That's a future plan. And the response is amazing wherever we opened so far, and kind of very receptive. People are very receptive about preschool. Earlier, preschool was more considered as a luxury or it is not so needed. But now every parent understood preschool is a very important step before they get into a formal school.
Of course, you mentioned earlier that you shifted from the insurance industry to the preschool industry. So what made you take the decision? I mean, in the sense that once you came to the preschool industry, what made you stick to it? I guess you've been, like you said, you've been in the preschool industry for more than a decade now. So what made you stick to it? What was the excitement all about?
See, it may sound little cliche, but nothing compared to the happiness of see the parent smiling with a sense of satisfaction that my child is in the safe hands and the safe brand. In fact, I have the little research mindset before any project. I go for a market research. So before taking up the offer in preschool, I just went to a few preschools to understand what is this space all about. Because my career is going to be on that. When I went there, one thing I can understood. Parents don't trust any strangers to give their child just like that. Parent instinct or mother's instinct, to be specific, very very high. Even in own relatives, they give the child to some, they don't give the child to some. So when that is the feel, if they trust a preschool brand and leave a child for 2 3 hours unattended, not in the direct supervision, that comes with a lot of trust. Unless and until they trust the brand, they like the people from the brand, they don't leave the loved ones just like that. So when I see the children coming out happily, entering the school happily, I understood there is a great things you can do in this space.
Now, of course, I mean, preschools are prevalent everywhere now. Probably in the last 15, 20 years, they have grown. I mean, before that, I think it was only schools. They had the preparatory, then they had the nursery and the KG and so forth. So, what kind of difference do you think preschools have made, to the education of a child? Because, like I said, earlier they were hardly any preschools. Probably, you started from preparatory itself. So what kind of difference has preschool like a Little Millennium made to this entire education industry?
I mean, times are changing. I mean, even I never studied in preschool. In our times, there was no such concept only. We directly enter into LKG in a formal school. But what's happening now is we are not in joint families anymore, where we are not hearing the grandparent stories. And there's no joint family of everyone staying together to learn and care, to say thanks or sorry, to respect each other. Those kind of environment is coming less. Now we are only nuclear families. So the environment is not helping the child to understand many things. So preschool is more than the education. It is preparing you for the formal school and the future. Because 2 to 6 years, that's a preschool year. 2 to 6 years, we call this a golden or a permanent memory age. Whatever we learn at that age, we'll never forget. That is why we still remember the rhymes we learned when we were young. We don't remember the movie we watched in OTT last week. So after you cross the 6 or 7, it doesn't store in your permanent memory. It gets evaporated as and when. So it's a very important age to be there. So earlier it was more like a play school. Now we don't call it play school. They don't come and play. Preschool, before the school, they learn many things, because schools also today, we can't blame them because of the academic pressure in the they have. They cannot focus on child individually and bring them to certain stage. They want children to already be in the certain stage. So preschool takes care of that, bringing children to certain stage. So their job is very easy to take care from there.
Very nicely put. I think that 2 to 6 years thing that you said, I mean, that is really true. And the comparison that you made with what you watched last week on OTT, we don't really know. Fantastic. Uh, India has had this new education policy, the NEP. So does it govern preschools as well? Are there any, you know, rules regarding preschools as well, the NEP?
The NEP mainly talks about they segregated 3 to 8 as a separate, more focus on primary. Earlier education policy more focused towards higher education. Now, thankfully, the focus is back to the primary education because that is where the crux is. Once you make the basics set right, the future can be taken care. So NEP is in right direction. It's a well thought through plan, and our curriculum is very well aligned to NEP.
Just now you said, the age group 2 to 6. So for what would be the right age for a child to enroll in a preschool? Is 2 years too early, or everybody has a
2 years right age to start. We call it developing roots. That class we call developing roots. Not much into reading or writing, but more into basic, to handle separation anxiety. For example, to move away from your parents for a couple of hours is good to start with, because after that, when you go to school, you have to stay away for 5 to 6 hours. So start with 2 hours away from them. More of a play and learn. Do some themes together. When the kids come together, they learn from each other. They see other child behave in a certain way, and this small group of 15 or 12 children, they can learn a lot together at that age. They don't need to actually learn the alphabets or numerical at that age, 2 years, but they learn a lot of things non-academics. How to get up on time and go somewhere. That's also discipline start from there. You have to be school on time. You have to dress in a certain way. You have to take care of few things, and even we are in the space, we can talk about all that. Even for some your washroom habits, start right from when you start in preschool at right age. So a lot of things will be put in place when they start early, then starting late.
in this entire the preschool age or the early learning stage. How important are the roles of the parents? I mean, of course they're important because they're a part of every child's life, but what kind of role, or what kind of help, what kind of support do you think they should provide to the child during these age?
I mean, my favorite lines are: parents are teachers at home, teachers are parent at school. Both co-create. I mean, there's a popular term called PPP, public private partnership. Similarly, this is a parent teacher partnership wherein they both nurture the child. For example, in 2 hours we tell them to drop the trash only in the dustbin. Put your the waste paper only in dustbin. But in another 22 hours where you are at home, where you drop anywhere, I'll take care. Then we are contracting with each other. So we have to complement each other. That's why the preschool made a lot of PCP, Parent Connect program, POP, Parent Orientation program, monthly meet. All this happens so that we keep sharing what we are doing here. So you have to extend it at home. If you're going to challenge that, child will be confused. And any human being will do what is easy. So it's about what is easy and what is right. At home mostly they do what is easy. At school we teach them what is right. If you bring both parent and teacher together, we can focus on what is right. I mean, if you ask in the past, my generation, if some guest comes home and asks me, dad, which standard your son is studying, you look at my face, because he may not even know the class. That's a kind of involvement in child's education. But now the parents are amazing. They know what has happened in the class today. They keep checking the app. They know the involvement is, I mean, it was never like never before, and we're really happy about that change.
You've been in the industry for a long time, like you said. So and nowadays changes happen probably every 2-3 years. That is how probably today's generation is. So, what kind of difference have you noticed of both in parents and students from maybe around 10-15 years back to now?
Parents become super sensitive.
Mhm.
I mean, earlier what is ignored now is getting focused. It's all for good only. I cannot say it is right or wrong, but we evolve. I mean, earlier parents don't mind if the teacher is a little harsh to a child. Now parents don't accept that. They say, no, my child should not be treated in a certain way. So we are evolving as a certain thing. So both have to change. Just now I spoke about parents. Even teachers have to change. Maybe especially a preschool teacher, it has to be corrected with love, not with a strict or tone. It has to be always corrected with love. They have to ignore. Sometimes they say ignore the mistakes so that they don't do it. Children many times do it for the attention. When they do it for attention, we should not give for the wrong action. Give attention to right action. And we keep saying this point that children copy a lot. So it is very, very important for parents to behave well at home also. If you are using right words, right approach, respect each other between husband and wife, child is watching that. If we are going to treat badly each other, we are going to be a little abusive. If you're not inappropriate manner you speak, child will copy that. So you can never get angry with the child. Why are you speaking these words? They only hear from somewhere, they copy. So it's a larger responsibility on both sides, and that's why we keep requesting parents to be very, very responsible and respectful at home also. So that is something really a big change from earlier to now. Earlier, parents feel school's job to do this. Now we say it's not only school's job. We both have to do this.
Sometimes in the preschool years, children tend to miss a lot of classes, maybe due to travel or maybe due to transfers. Different schedules of parents, they're busy. So how does this exactly affect the child's development or education, when they are not really regular in preschool? Because I think it's very necessary for parents to know how they get affected. Yeah.
Attendance is very important. I'm not debating that, but 100% attendance is very important. 100% attendance is very important. But 50% attendance is also very important. 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 50% attendance is also very important the curriculum is not loaded, like you have to catch up the syllabus. It is nicely phased out in a way, more of activities, more of academic learning, more of play. It is phased out unless until someone really sick for long. Transferable mean there is no problem, because brand like Little Millennium, we are everywhere. Any city you go, we are there. So transfer is not a problem. But any health reasons, some days you miss, it will never impact. We can always catch up later. And the curriculum is not loaded. The loading happens after some standard 5 or standard 6 ke baad. But initially it is not loaded. It is child centric. When I say child centric, how much they can take at that certain age, when they need a break, because as an adult we can sit for 3 hours lecture also of a complex subject, but as a child their attention span maybe 10-15 minutes. We have them, then we give a break, so it's all well phased out. So that's not a problem.
So Little Millennium obviously is a national brand, and you also have popular, well-known, respected local brands as well. Of preschools I'm talking about. So now, what kind of difference do you think, is the difference between a national brand and a local brand? I'm sure, I mean, both of them want to, excel in whatever they do, give the best in their best preschool education. But generally, what kind of advantage do you think a brand like Little Millennium has over the others?
To start with, my heart goes to the all the preschool friends, because it's a space we all are in. We operate in a different way, they operate in a different way, but we are all doing the same thing to the, we do what is right for the child. So my appreciation to all the, all the local players and the individual standalone brands as well. But the benefits of a big brand or a national brand like this is our R&D can be much better. We keep evolving a lot, we keep updating a lot. A lot of innovation is possible. Tech is possible because the larger group. And events is some big differentiator between our brand and other brands. We do a lot of events. Such events are possible when you have a larger network. More people, more events possible. So that's the biggest advantage. And the child that experiences here, and the standardization, whether you're here, move to some other city across Kashmir to Kanyakumari, the every child on a certain day goes through a same curriculum. That is the biggest advantage of being with a national brand like this.
Just a while ago, we were talking about parenting, and you said, parents probably are a little more involved than how they were 10, 15 years back. But do you see that equally in all parents, or do you see a difference among the spectrum? Some are very interested, some are probably not really interested in terms of parents. Yeah.
I mean, within the same family, two brothers are not same, so we can't expect the entire parent community be same. There are, but the median is increasing. A large set of parents are highly involved. Some parents are very workaholic; they don't have time. I mean, genuinely, they don't have time. They have the guilt also. Some parents are extremely involved, wherein every hour they want to know what the child. They want a CCTV access of the what child is doing, and that is too much. I mean, it's you trust a brand, you leave it to us. We have all the safety protocols followed, and but it's increasing day by day. The parents involvement in preschool is really increasing, which is welcoming.
Coming to another topic regarding child safety, the good touch, bad touch thing. When do you think a child should be, taught that part, the good touch, bad touch? When can they become aware, and how can parents help actually?
At the earliest, because we all have children at home, we are equally worried when they step out, because not everyone look at the child in the same way. In fact, we take a lot of measures for it, even starting from selecting a franchisee partner to see whether they have the passion towards children, they really care for child. While giving franchisee, that's one of the qualifying criteria, whether you will do what is right for the child or not, because you have to invest a lot when it comes to child safety, like CCTV cameras, maybe a police verification for the staffs, visitor movement, everything have to be captured, so that we create an environment which is absolutely right for the child. Beyond all this also, not only about the school, after the school also the child can always go through such unfortunate incidents. So we have to make them ready for what is right and what is wrong. We have such trainings, POXO trainings are done for all the teacher, the franchisee partners, everyone, so they're all empowered to educate the children what is right and wrong. What is more satisfying than empowering that group, may 2 to 3 years, 3 to 4 years, may if they get to know what is right and wrong, if they can at least send alarms to the parents. I'm not comfortable, I'm not liking this uncle or auntie, the way they treat me. These are the right empowerment and education we have to do at that age. So we do it from very early age.
In fact, that was one of the questions I wanted to ask you. I mean, when selecting a franchisee, I mean, when people approach you, that they want to be a franchisee of Little Millennium. So What are the criteria, or how do you actually, do the verification and the.
We look for the passion in them because it is not a mere investing in a business. It is about dealing with children. Not a raw material and some commodities trading. It is a children, and unless until they're passionate about education and children, this is not the business for everyone. So during our interaction, multiple level of interviews, we find out and give franchise to the right people.
Your, I think, curriculum is very scientifically designed, well thought about, well researched. So, what do you think? What kind of difference does it make to children for this kind, from this kind of a curriculum?
After 16 years, we have upgraded our curriculum. The curriculum name is Bloom, and it mainly talks about certain need of our topics. To start with, public speaking. See, I mean, it's a well planned podcast. I'm still nervous to speak. I've attended many interviews, given interviews, haven't stages. Still, the nervousness comes within when you face lights and camera and mics. But we make the child ready at a very young stage to get over the stage fear, get over the audience. Make them confident and comfortable about public speaking. We also make second element is entrepreneurship thinking. By various activities and projects, we make them start thinking like an entrepreneur. Today, you can get into any field, but entrepreneurial thinking is a very important factor. Third thing, we do something called pre-coding skills. Uh, you may get into IT or not, but the logical thinking and pre-coding skills will be very important to solve any puzzle in your life. It doesn't need to be coding. It can be in anywhere you're stuck in life. You need to know the why this is happening, what will be the impact analysis. When you do this, what is going to be the impact? These are important. And the fourth one is your wellness about your mind. So we keep earlier we never heard something called child goes for depression. Right now we are reading a lot about that because of various reasons. So our curriculum takes care of the make sure the child is happy and calm. And happiness is very very important. Otherwise, if the child is not happy and they're stressed for something, they may burst out in any way. Our curriculum takes care of these four things very very importantly, and I think it's a need of the hour today. If you ask any parent, they talk about my child should be very good in communicating, my child should be confident, should be tech savvy, or should be on the direction of knowing things. Sometimes they may even say that all I want is my child to be happy. We have different parents. I think our curriculum is catering to all the needs of today's parents, and we keep evolving. As after 5 years, if the need is something else, we will add that also into our curriculum.
In fact, because you mentioned how parents are different, how the requirements. So you have centers all over India. So do you see any differences in parenting requirements or education needs when the regions change in different parts? I mean,
Here and there will be some need differences wherein some are more academic friends, some are more non-academic like sports, some are more like this is a place where they need to learn some basic discipline. That's enough. The expectation may be different, but overall, parent wants to give the best place for the children. That doesn't change. But here and there, yeah, the to certain extent there will be some difference in what exactly they want. Some cities focus more on do you have any sports added to the curriculum. Some are very specific. Can I get admission in this school? They all have a target of one school. They all have a target of one school. They want to get admission there. They say, "Can I get admission in that school?" So, like this, the expectations are different, and nothing wrong in any expectation. Parent is a parent, and they are unique and rare. They can have their expectation for the child.
one very important question. So for every parent, when they go to choose a preschool for their child, so what do you think they should, what are the questions they should look at? What are the criteria or the factors they should consider while choosing a preschool?
Number one, look for safe environment. Look for the safety because the child have to be safe. That's the prime. Look at the staffs and especially the teachers and the person you're dealing with. Are they child friendly? Third thing, look at the curriculum. How advanced the curriculum is. How relatable. Some curriculum will be very good but may not be relatable to today's needs. Look at the relatability. You can also look for what are the other non-academic other than the curriculum. What are the other events and activities and projects? Because at that age, more than the book learning, the out of the book learning is more important.
And are families nowadays more informed and more, open-minded than before? Of course they are, but how do you think that has, created a change?
So we live in a chat GPT era. Like as I say anything, you can always put that and check whether that fact is right or not. So it makes our job tough, but that's a way forward. So it is important to be well aware about the subject that we deal with. That's why we have so many trainings to our franchisee partners, our teachers, so they're on top of it. So any point in time, we don't want your parent to have a guess. My child is in the right brand in the right hand. because today the world is open. Maybe 10 years back, there was no social media much impact, but now what happens in any part of the country, you all can see it. Be it schooling, be it activities, be it any new practices, they get access. They know what's happening. They're updated. So we can't anymore say what we do is the best. People get access to wherever people do. So we try our level best to match with the international standards, match with the future readiness. We try to do all that.
The teachers and caregivers of a preschool are obviously very important. So, as a brand like Little Millennium, so what kind of criteria or what kind of training do you give them? Any is there a specific program? Do they do all of them have to undergo the orientation and training?
They have to. They have to undergo, and it's not a one-time training. It's a continuous training. And more than the training, we have monthly audits to the academic deliveries. In a way, our academic manager sits in the school in all the classrooms for the whole day to understand whether it is delivered in the same way it was taught. That puts a lot of discipline in action where there is no compromise happening at center level. So we may do many R&D and make a concept at head office, but if it gets diluted at the center level, there is no point. That's exactly, we have this frequent visits to make sure what gets they say inspect what you expect. So we want to expect the better delivery. We have to keep inspecting whether the delivery is happening or not. So we keep doing that auditing and all. So the auditing very tough. Whole day every parameter is checked, including the how the children are received at the center, how they are sent back. It's all well groomed. How the handling of even holding of is it right way. Everything gets audited. When people know they get audited, they also force. And these are uninformed audit. We don't inform and go. Uninformed we go. So these are some practices we have to make sure teacher not just training plus frequent visits. This makes the combination very good for us.
In a small city or a town, there might be an individual or a group of individuals who might be interested in starting a preschool. So, what advice would you give them? And also, would like to ask, is it better to start something on your own or start with a franchisee?
See, that's absolutely an individual choice. I cannot comment on it. But why I recommend franchisee is you are part of a large ecosystem where everything is taken. It's a plug and play. If you start your own preschool, you'll be doubting yourself every day. What I'm doing is right or wrong? Is this right lesson plan today? Am I handling my teacher in the right way? How to recruit a teacher? There are a lot of things there. In a brand like us, everything is completely handed over like a booklet, manual and completely inducted and trained. That's number one point. Number two is your risk reduced by 50%. When a popular brand and a well ecosystem is there, your risk is reduced and success rate is much brighter and better than going on your own. And we are dealing with a highly sensitive age group. So anything that happens, it's better to be with a safe hands and safe brand with a good SOPs than on a trial and error. When you do on your own, it will be more on trial and error because you are unsure about what you're doing.
Parents often, worry about, is my child too young? Is he ready yet to go to a preschool? So, you have anything to say about that? How should parents take the decision, move about it, go ahead with it?
Now, as I mentioned, they're not young anymore for preschool because that's where 2 to 6 years is a golden. It's scientifically proven that's a permanent memory. 2 to 6 years is a golden age group. Anything you want to teach them right, tell them right thing, that's the age to do. So 2 years is the best time to start your preschoolings.
You mentioned earlier, and we also talked about it. It's been your journey's been long. You've been in the preschool industry for a long time. So how have you changed? Have you seen any behavioral change in the children over the years?
I mean, I can say they are very smart now. Their access to technology is very high now. I mean, in fact, we try to normalize it or we try to reduce the screen time. Earlier, screen time was not there much. Mobile were very expensive stuff and only restricted with parents. Now it's with everyone. There are tabs, there are screens. Screen access is getting too much. We also, what is concerning us also, some of the values are getting diluted or compromised where we try to re-inject that, like respecting elders, saying sorry or thanks. The tantrum is slightly increased in most of the children, and adamancy of I want it and I want it now. This is slightly increasing, which is concerning. So we try to take care of all that in our day-to-day schooling. In fact, one of the topic that I missed to mention earlier is there's something called financial literacy. That is taken care in our curriculum, where today the child may be crying for a product without knowing whether it is 20 rupees or 20,000. They don't know the difference. At our home also we have that challenge. Unless and until they are told what is the need and what is the want and what's the difference, they may continue to cry for things that they don't actually need it. So the financial literacy is taken care in our curriculum, which in my view, it is one of the best thing. At that age, when children are educated, what is needed and what is actually not needed, what is luxury. If we can differentiate that and show, they'll go a long way. We also talk about SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, wherein many things are covered. Especially my favorite is, uh, regarding food wastage, because I see kids eat a one piece or one bite and say, I don't need it. Across the world, there are many children who don't get the next 2 days ka meal they don't have. It is just that we didn't sensitize them that this is very, very important. We should, be very thankful that we get a meal on time. We are taken care that way. But we are seeing in they have one spoon. They are very not so good about eating it, or I don't like to eat, or waste food, or order some three items and take one piece and say I don't want it anymore. Those things are taken care in SDG. We also talk about gender equality. I mean, we in our textbooks and in all possible ways, we don't show only men can do jobs and women at home. We, in fact, sometimes consciously interchange. When the grandma is dropping the child in the scooter and grandpa is actually making some chai at home. So we swap it because at this age, you place those images and those narratives, so they never forever they'll respect men and women in the same way. There's no one higher.
A little while ago, in one of the questions or in one of your responses, you had mentioned about that children also get into depression nowadays. They also require special attention. So, in how do you deal with that, or how do you even identify? If a child is depressed or if he's a little mentally troubled, so emotionally troubled. So, how do you identify?
So it's a very sensitive and a deep subject. But to start with, the child who networks better, have more friends, involved in any of the activities we do, interacts more with the teacher, are the lesser chances to get depressed. The one who was little want to stay alone or don't interact much or isolate themselves, a lot of physically also you can understand the way they look at and talent. There are multiple things in all this, but early detection is very important. That's why the parent teacher should communicate with each other, how he or she is at home, how he or she is at school. Both have to interact as much as possible to eradicate such things.
So, is it necessary that parents also undergo some kind of training and orientation in today's day and age? I'm talking about because things have changed, environments have changed, people have changed. So, do you think it's necessary that parents also should be given some kind of training and orientation? And who should do that? I mean, the training and orientation part, who should do that?
But we call it POP, Parent Orientation Program, which is done by our own academic managers coming to the center with a group of parents. In fact, in the POP, what happens is we set the narrative for the whole year. We are going to tell what all most points will be covered, what we are going to do, and what you're going to do. The expectation setting. Including starting from the timing, food habits, do's and don'ts, everything expectation set during orientation. So the parents have clarity what to do with in the next 1 year.
So when you're, shaping children at such a young age, it's almost like you're shaping the future, of many, not only many lives, it's almost like you're shaping the future of a country. So what kind of pressure is it? What kind of, how do you deal with it?
I was attending some annual days where I saw the kids whom I saw 15 years back are now in, going to enter the college. When you see them humble, when you see them highly talented and skillful, and when you see them shining, that's a sense of satisfaction you have. That the small decision we make in the boardroom, if it is going to result in a great impact in the child's life, when you see them grown up and be responsible citizens, and do shine in their own respective career, that's a great sense of achievement that what we feel. And it's a proud, I'm very, very proud to be in this industry, because you can actually see the impact of what you do in day to day. You make one change today in the organization, in 6 months you can see the children actually gets the impact of it. So very happy, and it's amazing feeling. I'm not able to express what when I've seen it all, and the way the child progresses and start cracking. I mean, it's not only academics. In my view, academics can be picked at any point in time, but if your core values are strong, and if you're very humble and well behaved and respectful person, I think that will take you to heights. I think preschools do that job. Most likely academics done by the later part, formal school, but the basics of how to learn, how to happily learn, that if we can make sure that happens, children will look forward to going to school, children will look forward to spend time in school. I think we are happy that we are in right space and we are doing something right to the industry.
So you are obviously already in the education industry. I mean, you're not directly connected to the primary level schools or the higher schools. But is there you know, is the current scenario such that there is too much pressure on academics, and people, or sorry, not people, students, they don't get, really get time to do something extracurricular? I mean, it's more like their week, almost every week becomes like a timetable.
It's a peer pressure, you know. How we don't disclose our salaries, I think we should not disclose our marks of the children also. That's a right step towards. It's very private. I think I don't think displaying that my child scored 98%. What's your child score? That is not fair. Every child is unique. They have their own talent. If your son is shining in maths and my daughter is good in art and craft, it doesn't make one better and one smaller. High time the parents have to understand, stop discussing marks in public, stop displaying that we cracked it here, we got in this school. Those are not the big achievements. Maybe that may give you some pleasure, but it also reflects very, put a lot of pressure on the children. If I'm not getting the that mark, I'm not good enough, they start self doubting. They may have some great potential towards something else, but we are putting all them in one bucket and say, if you're not scoring this, we are not good for something. I think we have to get out of the mindset to stop this pressure mindset. Pressures are not, pressure has never and will never deliver anything good. So that's my message to the parents. If any parent watching, stop thinking marks are the only way to assess a child's capacity. A lot more to, it's just that our limited access or knowledge to view that. We think only marks are the reflection. There are a lot of other things to evaluate a child.
Like we discussed before, technology obviously has become a big part of a child's life nowadays. And, in recent years, even AI has come into the play. How do you think that's going to impact the child's education in the future? Because I think that now also you will see a lot of students, I mean, school students, you taking the help of AI or internet to do their projects, to write their essays, and, all kind of things. So do you think there will be the development or the thinking capacity or the creativity of children would sure slowly, maybe gradually decrease a little bit because there's too much of AI and tech?
See, what I'm going to say is my personal opinion. I'm not putting organization into this. My personal opinion is, I'll just take you back. When we didn't have mobile phones, we used to remember at least 40 to 50 phone numbers by heart. From a PCO, you can call those numbers. Now, if I ask you, you may know only one or two numbers, not more than that. Similarly, before calculator or laptop, the mental mathematics very high. The tables, quickly you will be able to arrive at it. Now, without that, we are. Before Google Maps, we know how to track a place, how to remember the shop name. A lot of things we be okay. After this, I have to take a right. After this, I have to take a left. I stop and ask. A lot of interaction happening. Now, completely, if the Google Map or internet is gone, our mobile is dead. We don't go anywhere. We stop there only because we cannot reach. So, it actually, anything like this will usually take away the natural ability to think or natural way to memorize few things. AI is a fantastic tool for some advanced things. But if it replaces some basic thinking, it is dangerous. It kills creativity and innovation. That too, a child is all about, they can write anything. They can make a dog fly also in their creative, perfectly fine. That's their innovation. But too much of AI at young age is not advisable. That kills the creativity, so not advisable.
Anything you'd like to say to today's students, or parents? Anything, any kind of advice, anything?
For parents, I think I mentioned earlier, we actively participate in the with the preschool, because I would like to reiterate this term: parent is the teacher at home and teacher is a parent at school. So we have to co-create, co-nurture the child, and any feedback given to you by a teacher, take it positively, not a fault finding, because they tell you for you to do something at home for that. And do not put pressure, do not compare. Even in annual days, I've always seen your child dances well and other child cries, and the crying child ka parent are very harsh while going back. Why you couldn't dance? You're also practicing like that person only. Maybe their natural thing. They don't enjoy dancing. They don't enjoy stage. It's perfectly fine. For me, participating is winning. It's okay what you do after that doesn't matter. As I told you, with the lights and camera, I get nervous. How do you expect a child not to get nervous? So stop comparing. Stop, and throughout the journey, try to find out what they're good at. Once you identify that, mold them and give them enough opportunity on that to see what they pick it up, instead of putting them in one bucket. That's my only suggestion or advice or request to parents. Don't put them all in one bucket and evaluate them, and let them explore and make them happy. Making child happy is more important than anything else, and that's my Last message.
Mr. Anand, one more thing I wanted to ask. So, what are the prerequisites for, person or an organization to become a franchisee of Little Millennium? And, how should they go about it? What are the steps or how should they approach?
I mean, they can put an inquiry in our website. Our creatives are available in all the social media, and they can definitely go to our Little Million website and inquire there as a franchisee, and they'll get a call in next 1 or 2 days. The steps are the manager will meet them one on one, because this is a life changing decision. From an employment or from a housewife to become a franchisee is a big decision. So we do evaluation both sides. The prospect also should evaluate the company. We will also evaluate them whether they are the right fit for the business. Because as I mentioned earlier, it is not everyone's cup of tea. And this dealing with children, dealing with parents, dealing with teachers, three sensitive communities this person have to deal with. Unless until you are not meant for it, attempt, you better start some other business. I mean, so we have not rejected, we have suggested many to not to start this. So our careful consideration, and someone got the investment capacity of 12 to 15 lakhs as an investment, and good entrepreneurial thinking, but with a hearted place, in wherein they should think for what is right for the child and what is right for the parents. They should always keep thinking this point before entering this industry. Otherwise, everything about academics or curriculum or how to do this business, starting from the searching for the property, so laying out, hiring teachers, training them, digital marketing, everything our team will take care of it. That's a complete end-to-end support from our team.
Before we, finish off this podcast, anything else, any last words you want to say, you want to, talk about?
We are looking at Northeast market, especially in Assam as a state, in a big way, because we are done with all the major cities of metropolitan cities. Now we are entering to the territories where we are not entered so far. In that, most promising is Assam, and wherever we opened already, wherever we are launching, response is really amazing. Which means the need of the preschool is well, it has reached well. I should say that. And looking forward to more centers, more happy parents, more happy children, and more happy franchisees ahead. Thank you so much.
Okay, viewers. So that's it for this episode of the Guwahati Connection podcast. See you in the next one. And don't forget to subscribe to the GPlus YouTube channel.